They have so much free. Speak of so much need. Don't understand how the guy so spare. Don't mind the evil that you will find. Don't mind the evil that you find.
Do you see me?
They have so much greed.
Did she leave?
Speak of so much need. Don't turn up kindly. Can't understand how the good will leave the land. Minded, the kind you so spare. Don't mind them, the evil they do will find. Don't mind them, I beg, the kind you so spare. I beg, don't mind them, I beg, evil they do will find. Mind them, don't mind them. Mind them, don't mind them. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. I beg, the kind so stay. I beg, don't mind them. I beg, evil they do will find. Mind them, don't mind them. Mind them, don't mind them. Don't mind them.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the rough transition there. That was Don't Mind Them by tonight's guest. Just a little snippet, a little tasty taste from one of our two featured or guest tonight, Ugochi and Dr. David Boykin. So I saw Ugochi on here a few moments ago. She kind of disappeared, so I'm waiting on her. But anyway, this is the Q&A with Bro Diallo, of course. We do it every Wednesday night, live Q&A for questions, comments, criticisms, and insights that we share with one another. So please feel free to drop your questions, comments, and criticism. I'm just looking for, see if I got any messages. Okay, Ugochi's back, so I'm going to bring her on. How did I go? Oh, I got to do this. I'm sorry. Good evening, sis.
How are you?
Sorry about that. I was a little fresh. I saw you came and went.
Yeah, I came in and I thought that I could get better sound, so I said, let me go out and come back.
Okay, so wonderful. All right, yeah. Well, if there's any problems, you know, they'll tell us in the comments. My audience is so mean and critical, so. Anyway, yeah, and Dave said he's running a little late, so he'll just join us. But the format is just an open Q&A. We generally have a theme, but the questions can pretty much come from any directions on any topic, but we try to stick to the theme. I do have a detailed intro of you in the comment section, links and everything. But before we start the Q&A and get into our first question, as we wait for David to jump in, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience just before we proceed?
Okay, my name is Ugochi, and I am a poet. I'm a singer. I'm a songwriter, and you know, I'm an educator. I'm an activist. I'm a human. So yeah, so I'm a creative 100% of the time. When I'm awake and alert, and so that's my life. I'm a living, breathing person that is just trying to express this reality in a way that that is therapeutic. So that's why I'm an artist.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you know, there's something I wanted to talk to you about, and I was just watching the "Don't Mind Them" video, and I was just very hurt I wasn't invited to be a part of it. Everybody in Chicago was in there. But I will take that up after we go off the air. I didn't get no call, no invite, but
you know that was in 2010 that we did that video. Just so you know, that was 11 years ago.
I was here.
Yeah,
I just moved here, trying to make friends and get to know people.
Okay, well, you know, I know for the next video.
Okay. Now we can proceed. Now that I've got this apology, I've been waiting a decade on.
Oh no!
I finally got my apology. Now we can move on.
You should have just reached out to me and then like,
you know, it's beautiful. I probably have messed it up somehow. It's beautiful. I wouldn't change a thing about it. Okay, we're going to start with our first question. It comes from Crab Coco. Y'all see the new Common, Sheun, Cootie, Black Thought, good art, in my opinion. Have you seen it?
I have seen it. And, you know, I am a fan of the crossing of genre. I do that quite a bit in my music. So actually, Common was on a Red Hot and Riot compilation that was in, I want to say around 2002 or something around there. So he basically did some work, did his own creative piece around a Fela tune. So this was nice to see him actually step into an original song that he created on an Afrobeat vibe. I like that because I think that it allows the music, the Afrobeat music, to cross the genre, across the ocean, and become more palatable to people who probably wouldn't have been into it, but because they see Common. And Sheun is a different generation than say Fela or even Femi. So I think it's cool. I think he's making it more accessible for the American young people, because, you know, in Africa, Africans know all the music in America, but Americans, sometimes they're a little late to learn about different musical styles happening in other parts of the world. So I think it's nice that they can cross that bridge.
Yeah, I think it's great. It kind of harkens back to Fela's collaboration with people like Roy Ayers, you know, which is one of my favorite songs of all time, Africa, Center of the World. So I agree. It was a very good video, very good artist, and, you know, good things happening. So yeah, I agree with you. It was a nice song and a very, very engrossing video, and I'll leave it at that because, you know.
Fela used to say music is the weapon. And so I think that, you know, that was a message-driven song, and the message was received.
Yeah, it's good. You know, but I don't know, because Common and Black Thought are kind of 90s. I'm not sure the youth in terms of, so it would definitely reach a huge audience, but, you know, he'll probably have to link up with some drill rappers or something if he wants to go to a younger demographic. So I hear what you're saying. And above, yeah.
I hear what you're saying, but people know Common from acting now. So he is like
that's true.
A mainstream superstar. So yeah, I know what you're saying, and that's true to a degree, but people know him from film. So
did you see his submarine movie?
No.
His war propaganda?
I don't watch a lot of I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't watch a lot of, I don't have a TV. I don't watch TV really. You know, people, if there's a TV in the house, but I don't really watch TV, and I don't really watch many movies. They have to be a special movie for me to watch.
Yeah. I watch a lot. I don't watch a lot of movies, but I watch a lot of television. Way too much.
Okay.
Yes.
No, look, no judgment. That's just my thing. I just have to.
But I'm known for critiquing things I've never seen. That's kind of like my niche. I critique stuff based on posters and previews.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure.
just to keep my reputation as a terrible person up.
Do you like any movies?
Yeah, I like a lot of them.
What movies, like, say, this year that came out, are you really like thinking of very good movies?
Oh, this year? Yeah, that's hard. Because I tend to wait, for the movie to come out on streaming and to see it for free. And so when I watch, those two Silent Place movies, I just saw recently the Silent Place movie, and I just saw Love and Monsters, which I know just came out a while ago. I enjoyed those movies. My sons and I, we all sat down for a family movie night and watched Black Widow, which I thought it's kind of frustrating with Black Widow because, you have an overall bad movie with some really good performances in it. So that's Black Widow had some really good standout performances in an overall really poor movie. So that's kind of frustrating. But I could see the Red Guardian. I'd love for him to have his own movie. He was really good. He was excellent. I hate what they did. I really, really hate what they did with one of my favorite Marvel characters, Taskmaster. And that's it. That's as far as I'll go because I don't want to nerd out too much. But you started it. What about you? Have you seen a movie?
Movies this year, like I said, I don't really watch many. I'm trying to think of what movie was a standout movie for me this year. And I know I'm forgetting something, but I didn't really watch many movies this year.
All right, just give us a standout movie. Well, give us one movie if you were going to recommend for the viewers. One movie.
One movie period of movie.
Yeah, from any time.
I really like The Drop Squad. I thought that was good.
I didn't watch it all the way through. That's way back. That's classic cinema.
Yeah,
that's like
that's when
you are more into art house stuff. Everything's so sophisticated. Here, I just watch garbage. Now I wish I had said something else. I take back Black Widow. Let me say Sankofa. How about that? Yes, I would like to recommend Sankofa.
No.
You want to get Art House? Let's get Art House.
No, you know what? I just was thinking about that movie just recently. That's why I said that, because I think we need a modern day film like that. So that's why that film was on my.
Yeah, not a competition. Okay, David's here. CP time.
That's right. Chocolate people 10.
Right. Okay. You want to give a brief intro? We've already talked about movies. Ugochi's already apologized to me for an offense she committed 10 years ago. So we're off to a good start. Don't scrunch your brow. Don't look confused. I'm sure you owe me an apology for something too, Dave. I'll figure it out. Give a brief intro, and then we're going to proceed on to the next question.
Who I am, intro? Yeah.
Well, we already know you're late, but what else can you tell us about yourself?
Right. My name is David Boykin. I'm a musician, primarily jazz idiom, from Chicago, born and raised. Been on the jazz scene since like 1997 or so. And then in around just branched out into other areas of music too, but recently in the past 5 years doing more electronic stuff, computer based, sample based, beat making kind of stuff. And so during the pandemic, quarantine, lockdown, was just getting a lot more creative with that stuff. And did a project where I reached out to singers, in particular, that I knew, where I would just send them tracks and have them send me back and create vocal parts for it and send it back to me. And that's how I ended up collaborating with Ugochi. But we had worked together on other jazz related like projects and stuff before.
Oh, so my track is what? It's still uploading, or did I miss it? The one you sent to me to drop some lines on? I just messing. I'm sure you heard me sing at the intro of my show. I ain't got no business doing nothing like. Okay, so we're gonna move on and just keep the momentum. So Nikhil asked, "Are you a vegan? If so, what made you switch your diet?"
Myself, I'm a vegan. I've been a vegan for like, I don't know, maybe like 25 years or something. And for me, it was like health reasons. It's like I was in college, and like probably a lot of people, you know, just at that age, you just, you know, discovering a lot of things, trying out a lot of things. And for me, it was really totally about just like optimizing my health, you know, and, you know, for a man, you know, when you like 18 to like 25, 27, that's just like the peak, you know, of your like physical abilities. And so I was just looking at things, trying to see what was best, you know, health wise. And that's how I became a vegan. At the time, my roommate was Muslim. He wasn't eating pork. And so I kind of stopped eating pork, and then gradually just kept dropping off other stuff till I looked up, and yeah, it was like all plant-based. That's what made me do it.
Ugochi?
So I was vegan, kind of. Whoever saw the Versus battle, I'm gonna say I stopped eating beef because of KRS-One. He had the song called, and that's when I stopped eating beef. Yeah, exactly. And then I went off of mostly everything, but I didn't do it in a real knowledgeable, healthy way. I was running track for FAMU at the time, and I just stopped eating meat, and it was kind of unhealthy the way I did it. But I did it. I was vegan from maybe 97 till about 2010. And then I started adding fish. I became a pesca again because I just decided to add some more fish. So I'm basically vegan with some pescatarian ways.
Well, everybody knows my story. I've told it a million times. You know, I tell it I became a vegan actually for animal rights. You know, I was the world's worst vegan. I was eating Twizzlers and Oreo cookies. And I'm still the world's worst vegan, but you know, mine is more so for advocacy for animal rights and animal liberation back in my early anarcho syndicalist ideology days. So then I started learning more about the health aspects and holistic aspects actually years later. But I've been vegan since 92. So, and I have no regrets. So,
yeah. And I actually, don't eat a lot of fish, but if I did, it would be like a few times a year. But yeah, I'm basically mostly vegan, about 90%.
All right. Okay, we're moving on. Oh wait, we both someone asked about movies, so we both gave movie recommendations. Do you want to recommend one movie? If you had to recommend one movie, Dave?
It's hard to say just one.
Just
it's a lot of movies.
But just say I initially said Black Widow, but then she said something art house and sophisticated, so I changed my vote to be more sophisticated too. So just
you can't change your vote though. Right. So that
right, yeah. See, I would go like super art house and sophisticated. But when you said Black Widow, then I was like, oh, they talking about movies now, like today.
No, I wasn't.
No, stuff that's out now.
I didn't say anything out now.
You say something to make yourself seem better than everybody else in their taste.
No, there's this film called Passing Through, and I can't think of the filmmaker's name. His last name is Clark, and it's like from the 70s. He was a part of that whole movement at UCLA with those filmmakers that came out of there with Judy Dash and Daughters of, not Judy Dash. What's her name?
Art house.
Daughters of the Dusk. That whole group of filmmakers. But this movie is about this saxophonist. I'm a saxophonist. This movie is about this saxophonist who gets out of jail, and he's in jail because he was like protecting a fellow musician who was strung out and who was being attacked by some drug dealers. And he getting out of jail, and he coming back on the scene, and he just trying to like get acclimated and get back into the music business, the music business. And so the movie really shows you a real musician's point of view of a musician's life and what they got to deal with in order to make money in this capitalist music business.
Cool.
Sounds like an art house movie.
Yeah, but it deals with the mob and it deals with just the black community, and it deals with the magic realism and stuff, spirituality, all of this stuff is in there. But the main thing is that it has I feel like the main thing is that it has it's a revolutionary perspective on that whole aspect of it. It's rarely screened, but if you could find it, if you see somebody showing it, check it out, because it's the real deal.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Passing through. I'm just gonna look that up.
The main actor is Rollo from Sanford and Son. He's the main character.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I said Drop Squad, by the way, just so you know.
Drop Squad, yeah.
You remember that film?
I remember that. Yeah.
It needs to come back. They need a reboot.
I thought they were remaking that, but I don't know.
I haven't heard that. That'd be awesome.
So the next question is, what responsibility does the African artist have to use their quote unquote art for the advancement and liberation of African peoples and humanity in general, or should they just do their own thing? We'll start with Ugochi, and then
Okay. Well, I feel for me personally, I am from a school where your art is, like I quoted Fela coming in, like music is the weapon. So I feel like that we have a responsibility as artists, and it's something that that it's a platform that we should really take to heart and take seriously, because it's so many people listening to us, and we can be Pied Pipers for something good or bad. It depends on where we are in our hearts. And all this talk about what's going on with R. Kelly, and a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm going to separate the man from the music. And I just feel like the man is the music. And just to use him as an example, I mean, it's a very spiritual thing to make music. It's not something that just happens happenstantially. You have to go through a process, a creative process, to make music. And so just using him as an example, I just feel like myself, I could not just write about anything frivolous in these times. There's too much going on to be writing about just anything. I feel like you have to be here. You have to be here, and you have to give people something that they can actually use to make sense of it. And we are usually the voices and the conscience of the society. The art is how you see yourself, reflected. So it is very important that we tap into what is happening and then give the people a perspective that is healthy. I mean, that's art at its highest, and I think in its golden age. That's what people were doing with the art. And that's why when you can really tell the real level of civilization of a people was through the level of their art. That's when you really saw how civilized the people were, not how tall their buildings are,
Yeah. David?
That whole responsibility piece is like, I mean, it's difficult. Because it's an individual kind of thing, like on one level, the artist is just as responsible to use their craft towards, advancement of African peoples and humanity as the next person. But the next person, maybe they a street sweeper or something, right? But are they like, as you say, are they like, what's their politics? What's their ideology? Are they committed to you know, the liberation of African people, or are they about something else? You know, are they about just trying to make some money? So it comes down to that. Like, what's your individual, you know, perspective, ideology, plan, objective, you know, with whatever you're doing, and then, you know, apply that to the artist. But at the same time, I'm looking at that question, and it's like when you think about the effects of art, like the effect that art have on people, and then how art is used and these people are used, you know, by the large oppressive society, you know, to keep Black people oppressed, right? Through the art that they program, how they use that, you know, as a weapon against us, you know, as opposed to, you know, weapon, you know, force. And so that, seeing that as the case that, like, you know, you hear the same songs on the radio all the time, you know, and you don't own no radio stations to put nothing else on instead of it, you know, and you ain't got no money to you know, to do that, to counteract that. And the same thing on the internet, you know, the internet, you know, it's the same thing, you know, it's money controls, like, you know, what's seen, what's heard, you know, on there. So yeah, that's a idea of being an alternative space, but realistically, if you ain't got no bunch of money, you know, to promote what you putting on there, ain't nobody gonna see it anyway. So that being the case, that like you being attacked, that you realizing that you under attack, you know, through art, do you have some responsibility with your art, you know, to try to combat that? I mean, I think you do. I think we have responsibility. First of all, just to be conscious and aware of that, you know, of art being used in that kind of way, besides it being just art for art's sake, you know, because you initially, I mean, I myself, initially, it's like I became an artist just because, like, I heard the music and shit. I just heard it and it was like, damn, you know, this feel good, you know. And then when I started doing it, I was like, oh man, that feel even better. It was all about just making me feel good. That's all it was about. It had nothing to do with, you know, nothing else. And that's the main primary thing of it. And so then it got to be about, well, you know, these people that hear me play, that listen to it, what do they think and how do they feel, you know, and being conscious of that. And then it got to be about, you know, the larger society and what's going on and what role does what I'm doing play in that. That was like the third thing down the line. But nevertheless, yeah, I feel like, you know, I had to be responsible in that sense.
Well, Ugochi touched on something where you said R. Kelly's music and people trying to separate R. Kelly from his music, and R. Kelly, you said R. Kelly is his music. And this is bad because I've been pretty much good. I mean, where as far as the artists that I love have been pretty on the level, except for one, like my formerly favorite rapper, KRS-One, just started bugging out more and more. From coming out with a fundamentalist Christian album to, you know, his issues with defending Bambaataa to some things he did in the verses. So I'm just curious what you guys think about, you know, if the artist goes astray or commits some horrendous or horrible act, is it appropriate to shun their music or continue to enjoy the art?
Can I just say one thing? Oh, you finished posing your question.
No, that's the question.
Well, I just want to say that with respect to responsibility of the artist, I think we have a responsibility in what we're creating to be accountable and just conscious of the fact that this is a spiritual science and you're like, you know, putting things on people's mind literally. But I also think that the people have a responsibility, right? They have a responsibility too, because it's a dance. I'm not doing this solo. It's a very symbiotic relationship. So if I have a responsibility to give you holistic, you know, healthy, vibrant music, then you have a responsibility to support it.
Right.
Then I'm out here doing this for nobody and for nothing, and I can't survive. And you can't survive, because then what you're going to have is the alternative, the poison music. the one that's taking you off of a holistic natural vibration. So if you want us to keep making good music, you got to support it. You got to look for these artists. You got to say demand the radio stations that you play them. This is the responsibility that listeners have, so that we can do the things that we're supposed to be and be socially responsible. So now going to your next question. I forgot what it was because
I was asking, is it appropriate if an artist does something horrendous on a societal scale or does something that violates your own personal value system? Is it appropriate to continue to listen to or appreciate their art as you shun the person? Should we still be watching reruns of The Cosby Show or playing Step in the Name of Love at family reunions or not?
Well, I think this is something that's very specific. So it's very delicate, right? Because like you said, Cosby Show, R. Kelly, these are people that people really respect and love. Personally, if you cross a line of a boundary that I have set for me, I don't care who you are, you're going in the garbage. I will not come back to pick up your music if it's something that, like, say the song. So say R. Kelly, some people are really losing friends over this decision of whether they can listen to R. Kelly music anymore or not. And I just feel like, at some point we have to have boundaries for ourselves. We have to set boundaries for our communities. And that keeps all of these vile people and practices away from us. But if we don't have any real boundaries set where it's like, this is okay, but that's not okay, then it's just not going to be okay at the end of the day. And so I think for me personally, I don't listen to a whole lot of stuff because when you start looking at things, you're just like, wow, that's what. And so it's very few. Focus is the new currency. And so I don't really give my focus or attention artists that I think are not good people in the spirit, because I really believe that spirit seeps into the music, because it's a spiritual game. That music is. It's a spiritual game, and it's not any way that you can say this isn't. You're bringing in ideas, coming up with blank slates of paper, and you're filling it up with concepts, consciousness, adding sounds that are coming from seemingly nowhere, but they're coming from a place. And so I don't know. I just feel for myself, I just keep it real easy. I don't have the conflict in me, in my spirit and soul, that a lot of people have, where it's like, this is okay. Oh, I like this song, but I can't believe they did that. Well, I'm going to separate. That's a actual split in you. You know what I'm saying? So you either are for it or you're not for it. And when you start being okay with certain aspects, I just think that that's how people split themselves. And we need to be like whole. We need to be whole, and we need to be walking in one way. So that's just my take. But it's just my opinion. So please don't cancel me.
All right.
Yeah.
You want to chime in? Are you still watching Cosby reruns? You still bumping Criminal Minded?
Nah, I might bump some KRS-One, but
Yeah,
I'm not watching.
Me too.
Cosby
Okay, we're all in. Okay,
y'all
know better than me.
But yeah, it's like an individual, decision, and it should stay individual to some extent, and then it's like a collective, like your group, like KRS-One, right? My mom wasn't into b-boying in the home. Like I come up and like hip hop and radios all over the house, right? And I'm number 6 out of 7. My older brothers and sisters listening to this, listening to that. My younger brother come along and like rap is getting like real raunchy, and he playing stuff like on the radio in the bathroom, and me and my brothers is like, what?
Exactly.
Wow. Mom, did you let them play that? What? It's like, ain't no way. Not that I didn't listen to the same stuff, but I wasn't gonna put it on the radio in the house. You know what I'm saying? Like that just wasn't gonna happen. But he was allowed to like play the stuff in the house. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, they should be shunned. You know what I'm saying? Like for some things that they do, they should be shunned. They should be shut down. And I don't know. That's a difficult question. Like, how do you separate like the artists from the art, that the music that they make from how they treat their partner. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you separate that? I don't know. But if you yourself have a principle and you stand on that principle and somebody violate it, yeah, then you got to shun that person. You got to shut them down. You know what I'm saying? Whether you like it or not. You know, you decide to become vegan. I mean, yeah, I love, you know, the way that, like, you know, Haagen-Dazs ice cream tasted. But once I just turned that corner, I was like, I ain't eating that. You know? It
I think
tastes
it's
good, but I ain't eating it, you know?
I think it's interesting too, the difference, because R. Kelly is somebody who was taking advantage of underage young girls and all type of, you know, sexual impropriety. Whereas KRS-One was solid when he made that music. So I don't feel like not listening to him then, you know, it's not a current album where he's talking that. It was back then when he was solid. KRS-One was solid then when he was making Criminal Minded, when he was making all those other albums that I loved. You know, I don't think that it's a problem listening to that now, because that where he was at was to me was the core of where hip hop was. Now, as he got older, he turned the corner and went down the road.
Money. It's that money.
I mean,
changes.
those albums.
All that money.
Yeah. So, you know, money will do that. But I'm saying when he was solid, that music was solid, and it still beats. You know, to this day, you could put it on and it's timeless. And, you know, Self-Destruction, all that stuff, you know, all of them songs, he put his whole self in it. And at that time, you felt the beat and the heartbeat of hip hop at that time. And I think that's cool.
Yeah, but I just want to say too, though, I think that like art, you know, it's so broad, it's so vast, it's so there's so many artists, there's so many new dope artists coming out all the time. Yes, you can take some stuff and you could throw it away and you can say, I'll never listen to that again. And you can find some new stuff to listen to. You know, that's even better.
Yes, yes. Take out the trash sometimes. You got to take out the trash sometimes. And if you find out later that they trash, then you got to take it out.
I remember Brother Phil talking about like the music systems in ancient Egypt, and they do this in ancient China. You say ancient China, ancient Egypt. When a new ruler come in, they delete the whole music system, the tuning of the instruments, everything. They delete it all and build a whole new system for the new king, for the new ruler, for the new regime or whatever. So yeah, you can throw the old music out.
So no biters allowed then. No biters allowed. You couldn't be.
Yeah. Okay. Lavia says, I love Ugochi. She is bae.
Oh, Lavia.
As if David and I aren't even here.
Hey, you know how it is.
Well, shout out to Lavia. You know, check out St. Martin vegan dishes. You know. She's a vegan entrepreneur or green entrepreneur here in Chicago. So check out St. Martin's. Shout out to Lavia. Oh yeah, she's an architect and mathematician as well. So I'll show her love even though she don't show me none. Let me stop.
What you mean? She's on your show. What you mean?
Yeah, but she didn't show love to me and David. Mostly I'm it's for David. You know, it's not even me.
She knows that, David.
But anyway, I love Ugochi. She is bae. Is that an acronym, BAE, or just
bae? Yeah, it's just I think it's just bae, capital bae.
All right. Okay, Candyman was pretty solid for a major release. Did you guys see Candyman? You want to take us back to movies?
I'm not a horror fan. I'm not a fan of horror, and I saw the old Candyman back in the day, and you know, my mind, the way my mind is set up, I got enough horror in just life as a system. Yeah. I don't really get into the horror genre for myself. Like even now, Halloween coming up, I live in an area with houses, and they always trick them out like haunted houses, and I'm just kind of creeped out. Yeah. It's not my favorite.
I'm sure it was a great production, because wasn't it like a Jordan Peele joint?
And yeah, he was executive producer, but not director.
Okay, so I'll say this: it's like, yeah, I mean, I think he makes, like, you know, good stuff. Like they said, it was a pretty solid for maybe solid, meaning like it was a very, very, very well made movie.
We know what solid means. You don't have to define Black
No.
vernacular. Come on now.
Right. I'm just putting it in.
It was bad, and by bad I mean good.
Not bad, mean bad, but bad.
I'm putting it in the context of like, I mean, for me, it's like, yes, it's well made, but you know, on a deeper level, like the message in other film, you know, what is that about? Like, and what is the message? And so, like the what was that? What was it? Get Out, right?
Yeah.
Like Get Out. You know, it's like it's hyped as like a horror flick or a terror flick, but the horror, you know, you identify as a Black person and you identify with the Black character, you know, you feel the terror and you feel the horror, as opposed to, I don't know, like if there was a film made, you know, that white people went to see it, and all the white people in the film was being like terrorized, and the white people saw it and they felt terrorized when they watched the film. I ain't seen that horror film yet. You know what I'm saying? They felt like terrorized at the hands of Black people liberating themselves or something. I ain't seen that horror film yet, but that would be a great thing to make.
I think that you have to make it, David.
Well, of course, yeah, I guess I have to.
And do the soundtrack.
But I was real curious. Speaking of soundtrack, that was the thing. Candyman, like the soundtrack, this artist Rob Lowe from Chicago. I think he's from, I mean, he lived in Chicago for a long time. He did the soundtrack, and I'm curious about it, and I might watch it just to hear that, actually. Yeah.
That's cool. All right. So moving on, Truther states that African art cannot liberate Black people. I know it's a way to express self, but only the artists really know what the message is. It's more of a comment. Care to respond?
I think African art totally can liberate. I mean, liberation, just look at Cuba right now, what's happening in Cuba. They're liberated. They're starting a revolution, and it all started from, well, I wouldn't say it all started, but a song made by a couple of artists started the revolution, got people out in the full force, and it started momentum that caused. I think art can liberate people if it's done correctly. And I just think that we've gotten so far away from art in its like purity, in its purest sense, because we're testing things, pushing envelopes further and further and further, you know, but there was a time when art was kind of a, you know, there are art purists out here who believe that it should be a certain way. And then there are people who kind of play with different genres and do things for shock value. And so art is so expansive and, you know, so yeah, art can liberate, but it depends on the kind of art you're using as your muse, or your, you know, what you're using to put into your mind has to be that level, has to be high vibrational art. High vibrational art can liberate you.
David?
I think it's kind of simplistic to ask about any one thing, period, like liberating Black people, as though like, I don't know, can taking this pill liberate Black people? Can, I don't know, wearing these shoes liberate Black people? Yeah. It's just kind of simple to think like that, like this one thing is going to liberate Black people. And then only the artists know what the message is. Just like everything, that's I don't like it just don't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah, the artist knows what the artist knows is the intent. The artist knows the intent or the message that the artist received to make that art, and maybe the artists know what they were trying to do when they make that art. But once they make it, everybody like receives it and they interpret it, and they feel different than what the artist meant. Don't mean that what they feel ain't valid, you know? I mean, I could make a song and I say this song is to make people feel happy. And then somebody hear that song and they want to go jump off a bridge, you know, that's real. The way they felt, whether I meant them to be happy or not, the way they felt is real, you know? So,
I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just because I make something that has a certain idea when I created it, when I play it, then somebody will say, wow, that really spoke to me. It resonated with them, the truth of what I was saying, even though I know the intent and the message and why I sat down to write it. they may not know what made me, sit down to write it or compose it, but they know that I feel that, and I feel that because something about it feels familiar. So that's why why I say it's a spiritual thing. We're all connected. It's like it, and some things you tune into, and some things you just don't.
Right.
And it's very.
And when we think of like art as like propaganda, right? I mean, billions of dollars spent every year, Super Bowl advertisements, that's art. All them commercials and stuff, that's art. Somebody say ba da ba ba ba, and you know what that shit is. That was some art, and they programmed you, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's real, So to say that like you can't use art, use that and those actual like effects toward liberating Black people,
And art is being used every day to program Black people.
Yeah.
And to keep us under a certain spell. It's being used every day.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I of all the revolutions I've studied, historical, ideological accounts, not one revolution didn't have a cultural and artistic component, and not one population of oppressors that tried to repress uprisings or try to oppress people that they didn't try to either repress or infect their art. So, right. I mean, even Adolf Hitler, one of the first things he did was fire all the Jewish composers and take down all the Jewish art. So I don't know where this individual is coming from in his relationship to art and politics and struggle, but I mean, I don't think he could have been more incorrect in that assessment.
You have artists getting arrested because of ideas and what they put out there, and the fact that people are catching on to it. Now they got to go to jail because they have to make an example out of you. Look at Fela. I mean, he was completely he was incarcerated, his mama thrown out of a second-story building just because of his views and his music. And so it's like some people decide to put their art, their careers on the line to get blackballed because they decide, I'm going to make a certain kind of music. I'm going to be true to myself, and I don't care what the label says. I don't care what the record company and all these other people say. I'm going to make the music I want to make, and then you don't see them anymore. That's why I say we have a symbiotic relationship. People, we make the music, and you support the music, because that takes all of the middlemen out of the equation, and that allows the artist to eat, and that allows you to get fed the music that feeds the soul.
Okay. Truther followed up with, so then what is the traditions of the African artist, and what is Black liberation to you?
What is the traditions of the African artist? To create, that's the tradition. I mean, I don't know exactly what you mean. Like, what do they do when they wake up? And I mean,
yeah, if you mean like the role of like a griot in the community or something?
Yeah,
like the griot and storyteller and the history keeper of the community.
Because African artists are not just performers; they're also visual artists. They're sculptors. They're different array of art. The tradition of the African artist is hard to say because there's so many different forms of art. So I don't know if you mean to say what is the for me, I could talk about my personal tradition and I don't know, pedagogy and practice, but it's hard for me to speak for all of the African artists of the world. I don't think I know what everyone does. I know what and I come from I'm not from a family of artists. I am the artist in the family. I created my tradition based off of what my spirit informed of me and my culture. So that is how I inform my own personal tradition. I did, study other artists of my tribe, but I also study my soul more so than anything. I think my soul informs me. And that's the that I get education from my own edification, and that's the work that I'm going to do lifelong. So my tradition is to first of all release all the stress that I can, so that I can be open to be creative. That's the first thing. And then I have certain practices that I do to get deep inside my creative mind. And that's just it. It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing a poem, it's a different practice. If I'm writing a song, it's a different practice. That's kind of, I don't know, it's a personal kind of thing. Everyone has a different way that they access their artistic self. It's hard to say.
Mm. Oh. All right.
And what liberation to me is something that I don't think we've ever experienced on this planet. It's not just being able to get in your nice car and drive down the street or whatever. It's a deeper kind of thing where you just don't feel repression, and I just don't know what that feels like. I don't know what it feels like to not feel restricted or repressed or anything like that. I think that it's so much a part of American life that Black liberation to me would be everyone knowing themselves, like really knowing themselves, like knowing why they are here, like not just to work a job or to not just to have children, even though that's beautiful, but I think people need to know what is it that they came here to do for this planet and how they can actually help the planet raise the vibration. If everybody was standing in their purpose, they would be more liberated. And so I think because we're not really, a lot of us are not really aware of what it is we came here to do, then we fall for the trap of just doing anything. If you don't know what you're doing, then you can fall for anything basically. And I think that's what you see a lot of people who just aren't sure. They're just a little unaware of what they're here to do, so they're just doing anything.
No. Well, I mean, I don't consider myself an artist, but I think when in the context that the question is being asked, I think the tradition of the African artist is to make a positive contribution to the just aspirations of their people. Simply being an African and making art wouldn't qualify someone as an African artist to me, because I think a lot of these artists are actually European artists, because you look at in whose interest do they make the art and who benefits from the art and whose AACE or ideology is the art feeding. So I wouldn't say that Jay-Z makes African art. Right. Many of the drill rappers, I mean, I'm not going to list it, but I wouldn't say they're making African art. They're making capitalist art. They're making Western standard art. Whereas Seun Kuti, many Black Thought, if you listen to many of Common's album, One Day It'll All Make Sense, Resurrection, KRS-One, they're making African art, because what qualifies something as African is if it uplifts and makes a positive contribution to our interests and aspirations. As far as liberation, I have a much more pedestrian concept of liberation. I think liberation is Africans being in full and sovereign control of all of the institutions and resources necessary for our well-being and our development, and an active opposition, ongoing opposition to any active or potential threats to that. That's bottom line liberation. And to me, everything else comes after that. The more, philosophical aspects, so I start from a materialist concept of liberation and then grow from there. That's so. Mark Milliner wants to know who we think won the versus. I assume he's talking about the most recent, huh?
You didn't see it?
I didn't see it.
Man, I listen, I'm a big KRS-One fan. I came in with KRS-One on the heart and mind. And I mean, I feel like KRS-One was just kind of like, he wasn't really rapping like he did on the album. He was just in a zone feeling it. And so people felt like Big Daddy Kane was lyric for lyric, the better performer. People, I was seeing it on social media, but I mean, KRS-One's discography alone is just, he won, he just won. I'm going to say KRS-One.
I say KRS-One as well, even though I would take points away from KRS-One when he changed the lyric, "Black woman, you're not a bitch, you're a goddess," to "Black all women, you're not a bitch, you're a goddess." That really punched me in the gut. That was so whack. I would have, if I was there, I would have booed.
And see, that's bogus, because the reason he said that is because of the attack on Black women. So when you say all women, it's not the same. It's not the same.
Right.
Because all women are bitches in the sense of being called that every day.
What that got to do with us, right? Yeah, that was the whack. That was the only down part of the of the night to me. But it was KRS-One all the way. But I don't think it was a fair matchup. It didn't make sense. Number one, if they were going, why didn't they have MC Shan come out? If you're going to have somebody from the Juice Crew battle KRS-One, it should have been MC Shan, number one. Number two, why didn't they have him go up against someone like Chuck D?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said, Diallo. I said Chuck D and KRS-One would have been a better pairing because they were kind of conscious and they were nationalistic. Because Big Daddy Kane, no, I didn't see that as a good pairing. But
yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like, I'm the smoothest brother. I'm smooth as butter. And then a brother coming out talking about black liberation and decapitating devils. It every time they switched off, it just messed up the flow. So they could have had Big Daddy Kane go up against, another smooth.
Exactly.
It was a poor matchup.
They should talk to me next time. Tell them to call.
But anyway, we got another question in the arena of hip hop. Who's your favorite hip hop artist?
OMG. You mean today? Are you talking the current or of all time?
Of all time, GOAT.
Well, they got it's plural on there.
Hip hop artists.
Okay, give the top three.
So you could give a few.
My top three favorite hip hop artists. I need the Jeopardy music.
You want to go first, Dave?
I mean, KRS-One. I mean, Public Enemy, Gangstar.
Okay,
that's three. We ain't about to blow up the comments.
We didn't even get to today.
We ain't gonna have shootouts and stabbings in the comments. So just three.
I'm gonna say KRS-One. I'm gonna say Lauryn Hill. I gotta big up the women. And I'm gonna say Black Thought.
I would say the number one MC of all time would definitely be Wise Intelligent. Extremely slept on.
All right.
I would say Wise Intelligent or the group Poor Righteous Teachers, whichever. Yeah, Poor Righteous Teachers. Number one. Number two, Boots Riley from the Coup, who is extremely. Lyrically, Boots Riley. And number three, KRS-One, because he got demoted when he started talking out. He put out Spiritually Minded. He got demoted. So that's my top three.
I gotta hear it before you get demoted. I know you just be like, Christian.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's if you want to lose yourself. So I hope Wise and I know Boots Riley, he's a communist atheist. I don't have to worry about him. But Wise Intelligent, I think he's a spiritual brother. So I hope I don't have to demote him. He don't come out with a Poor Righteous Christians album.
You know what? But people should do something to really big up Poor Righteous Teachers before they pass too, because I don't think they get enough shine.
We lost one. Father Shaheed passed away in a motorcycle accident, so we only got two left.
I mean, we need to do it before they die, and then everybody telling stories.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but that's everybody.
Yeah.
Don't nobody.
So he's telling what he thinks. What he thinks African liberation is imperialism off our backs, control, dictate our interests. Huh? Okay.
Yeah,
I agree with all the people.
I like all of that too, and the artists that he rated. Those are top notch.
Yeah. When you said you become Graham because, when I assume he's saying vegan because of animal rights. What if there's a plant right? What then do vegans say? What do you know everything on Earth other than rocks or living organisms, right? This is more absurdity. Okay, truth.
Somebody's upset.
Let me just say this. First of all, I have to eat plants because I have to eat plants to survive, whether, so it's not about making a choice. Eating animal flesh is an absolute choice and adaptation for human beings. We are herbivores. Our digestive system, our evolutionary development. So plants can provide all the nutrients we need to survive. So but I do support quote unquote plant rights. There are ecological and environmental rights given, and I support ecological rights. You can cultivate, consume, and distribute plants without doing major damage to the ecosystems. That is not the same for meat cultivation, and also consuming vegetables. There are no intrinsic or inherent health issues with consuming plants. The fiber and nutrients in plants, whereas there are significant health risk associated with the consumption of animal flesh, from cancer to cardiovascular disease to even prions like what they call that mad cow disease or spongiform encephalopathy. So meat is inherently pathogenic.
Yes.
In order to make plants pathogenic for humans, you have to process or add chemicals to them. But there is no inherent pathogenesis to eating food-based, having a plant-based diet. So I support plant rights in terms of rights for the environments, having limits on what humans can do to our ecosystems and environments. So there you go.
And actually, form and function, like you said, the body, our actual colon is made to digest vegetables. Not if we were to be like carnivores, we would have more of a carnivore's kind of digestive system.
Right, and we'd have claws and the capacity to we have, you know, our so we are plant-based, and meat was an adaptation and a choice. Eating plants is not a choice. You know, if you eat a strictly plant-based diet, you will thrive. If you eat a strictly animal or flesh-based diet, you will begin to develop all kinds of sickness. And I don't know if you guys know about Jordan Peterson. And he and his daughter embarked on a meat exclusive diet where they only ate meat. They ate no vegetables, no grains, no cereals, no fruit. And the father, he ended up in a hospital in a medically induced coma. The daughter still claims she only eats meat, but so.
Oh, they were trying to make a point, and they didn't go.
Yeah. So, Christopher Akiwowo, again, Ugochi. So.
Yes, so
more love, as if David and I are not here.
No, they see you. They just see me too.
Great poets who spoke about the contradictions of African people. Sometimes people go back and forth with each other in the comments. It's kind of hard to discern whether they're talking to us. You want to list your favorite, your favorite poets? The last poet.
Yeah, the last poets were. They are. I mean, it's still. I just was in a workshop with Abi Odun. I mean, they're living legends. I think that Saul Williams is a poet that speaks about contradictions of African people, and he's somebody I really rate. Jessica Caramore is for somebody I know, and somebody who talks about that too. And I mean, there's so many great poets. We just lost a few in the UK. There's Linton Kwesi Johnson. There's Muta.
Yeah.
There's so many amazing Caribbean, African-minded poets. But that's a few of the ones that I really love. Not to mention, I have a great poet friends.
And yourself, you gonna play modest? Don't play modest. You're getting all this love in the comments. Don't play modest.
Thank you.
Amiri Baraka, Sekou Sundiata, Sonia Sanchez. I'm not a big fan of Nikki Giovanni. I don't.
Okay.
Then Sun Ra, and trying to think of this last one's name. Big compilation of his work is called The Ark of Bones. Shucks, it'll come to me later.
Oscar Brown Jr. too. I really like Oscar Brown Jr.'s work.
Oh wow, yeah, wonderful. Well, I just got my top 3 is Gil Scott Heron, Gil Scott Heron, because he spits hot fire. I ain't gotta say nobody else.
That's true. And he also was his authentic self. Even during his drug addiction, he was so open and honest and transparent. And that's why I think he resonates with so many people, because people felt an Angel Dust, man, and just so many songs that he just bore his whole soul. You just felt him.
Yeah, one of my first date with my wife 21 years ago, we went to see Gil Scott Heron at Sounds of Brazil, SOBs in Manhattan. So remember that. Yeah, saw him perform live. He showed up late. You know, Lauryn Hill stole that from him because a Gil Scott Heron show, man. Shoot, y'all show all that hate to Lauren for showing. I mean, Gil Scott Heron was late. I'm like, when he need to help sweep the floor and clean up the bar. He came around closing time, but everybody stayed as it was happening.
Wow.
Yeah.
But when he get on the stage, you forget. You know,
Sure.
That lump in your throat goes away. You know, when he gets up there and starts.
I have to get my head right.
Well, yeah, I think Lauryn Hill needs to pay homage to him because he's the original super late. Okay, Justin K states, every human is born an artist, but as we grow up, we are usually taught that it is childish or irresponsible. Hence, we forget.
I think that's true. I think that we have our senses are heightened as young people. We have all these different gifts, but you know, people don't think that it'll pay. So they say, "Oh, that's cute. That's cute." I know when I was growing up, I always wanted to sing, and I just would sing all over the house. I would sing in church, and you know, I'm from a Nigerian family. They were like, "Okay, but what are you really going to do? You know, like you're not going to be singing for a living. What is your job?" You know, like. And they were just like, okay, they gave me a job because they said, no, you'll just go become a judge. Go be a judge, you know, like, no singing. And I stayed true to what I felt good doing, you know, and that's something that people don't do. They cave to the societal pressure and they do what makes money. And they're good money-making cogs in the machine wheel, but they're not happy and fulfilled in their soul, you know. And so as you see a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people as we're getting into our elder, you know, as we're getting into eldership, folks are leaving their jobs and doing that thing they wanted to do. Now they're going to become an artist. Now they're going to start painting. Now they're going to travel. And now they feel like, okay, I'm going to do that thing I always wanted to do. Whereas artists get the license to do that thing they always wanted to do. And it's so cool to wake up and know that I get to create today. This is all I have to do is make art. You know, that's my job. And it's a beautiful thing. It's very liberating and very freeing because I feel like I get to interpret all of the stress of my life and I get to put it in a way where I can release it in a way that's healthy and help others to release it. I mean, you know, your best soundtrack when you're going through your day and you're like, oh, I need my theme music. What would life be without your theme music? You know, and so you making that theme music with somebody else. It's a good feeling.
All right. Dave, any comments on how we crush the souls and spirits of our children? Are you doing that with your children?
No, I'm not.
So I heard a little baby in the background until you kicked it away.
No. No, I'm not doing that. But yeah, I agree. Everybody's an artist. And it's just how we decide to structure our society, whether we want to, you know, cultivate that or whether we think other things are more important. You know, different societies, art functions differently, you know. Back to the thing about like African, a traditional African artist or something like that. I mean, like just in the East as opposed to the West, you know, art in general is just more practical part of everybody's everyday life. Whereas in the West, it's like this highly specialized, you know, thing that people are specially trained in, and it's more like for a select group of people than something that serves a more practical purpose for everybody. You know, so it's about, you know, the society.
Because now they're even making art less accessible in schools, and that used to be how that bad kid used to find his place and to see what he was good at. And you know, they're taking all of these opportunities away for you to really deal with yourself and learn about more about, you know, yourself. It's a very important part of school. Art is a very important part of school, just like recess. It's very important, you know, when you're in school, taking time off from the learning process to come back. So I just think when they take those things out of the public schools and out of the schools in the inner city, they're really, it's a really disadvantage. It's a big disadvantage to the young people that are in that school, because private schools still have art.
Yeah, absolutely. Brother Bree Creamer says, saw Ugochi performing with Martin Grow back in the day. Much needed energy/talent. Where can I cop her music?
Oh, big up. That's my brother,
Yeah.
Martin Crow. Thank you so much.
No, he left Chicago, so you
No,
know.
he did. He's right
Yes,
here.
he did. No, he
He's
didn't.
back.
He moved. He's gone. Is he still in? Are you still in Chicago?
Oh, you talking about B. Creamer or Martin?
Yeah.
Crow? Okay.
Oh, Martin Grow. I thought you were talking about B. Creamer. No, he left us here.
Okay.
I had a couple of homies leave. I'm just bitter. Y'all keep even running to greener pastures while I'm still here on the south side. It's not
Thank
fair.
you,
But
B.
go on. I'm sorry.
So I have a website, and it's called African Buttafly, not Butter fly, but Butta, like butterfly, and .com, and you can get the music on there. Yeah, that's where you can buy it. Or I'm on iTunes and Amazon too.
All right.
But
But they can find their way from
Butterfly. You said
African.
Butterfly. You said what? It's Butterfly.
Oh, let me fix that.
Thank you.
Through the miracle of technology.
Yeah, you did that real quick too. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Quick,
All
real
right,
quick.
here we go again. All right. African
Thank you,
butterfly.
B.
All right, let's go.
That's it. Thank
Let's
you.
see. Oh no. Diallo, do you think a ideology like Black supremacy is reactionary? If so, why? Absolutely, Black supremacy is reactionary. The whole concept of supremacy is absurd. It's because we live in an interdependent ecosystem in planet Earth. So to try to elevate one organism or one population of people over all others is basically what I call pathological insecurity. So no, I'm not a supremacist. Liberation does not require supremacy. And the moment you start to create supremacy, you begin to create imbalance and dysfunction. That's what's wrong with white folks. So I don't think we need to adopt their pathologies in order to cure or to rid ourselves. I think we need to return to balance. And I think people need to live within ecosystems and within communal positions with each other and the ecosystems and other living creatures. So I'm not a supremacist. I don't want any level of supremacy. And if we defeated white supremacy, which I don't even call it supremacy, it's white, it's white hegemony, white domination, white exploitation. So no, I think it's reactionary because it's not viable. No population of people who've ever engaged in supremacist ideology, and it's not just white folks. Many of the Hindus and in the caste system, they engaged in supremacism. In Asia, you have some hyper Asian nationalists or sinocentrism. So nowhere where it was practiced or adopted in any population of people has it ever served that people well. The people become pathological, and everything that is underneath them in their hierarchy becomes under attack and devalued. Who wants that? It's like, I don't want Black supremacy, just like I don't want Black raisins in potato salad. We ain't gotta do they stuff. We can do our own thing. But
and racism is a mental illness. So let's just make it plain. Like to create a whole hierarchy of like value based on race is a mental problem. So if we were to do that same thing, that's not the answer. I think knowledge of self and self-love is really core and key. But you don't have to be a supremacist to be a nationalist. You don't have to necessarily be about like supremacy. I just think you just need to have solid love for yourself and just walk in that reality and that love for yourself.
Dave, you want to take that?
No, that was for you.
All right.
For you.
Right. And yeah, and this notion that Black people being the first people, which makes us supreme, that's not how evolution or adaptation works. evolution doesn't create hierarchies, and in fact, the survival of the fittest did not mean the strongest or the supreme. It meant the most adaptable creatures were the fittest. The ability to adapt is what makes you fit, not your ability to dominate and exploit others. So art isn't neutral and is always has an ideological base. You guys agree, disagree?
I guess so. Like, if
Yeah.
you want to say that the artist making it has some ideological,
Has a
base,
position.
and yeah, and that it comes out in the art. Yeah, you could say that. I think.
I agree too. I can't envision any art that doesn't have any ideological. I can't think of any art that isn't essentially political. So
Yeah.
I agree.
Do we?
4411.
Yeah, I mean, I know I was late, but so do we play the do we play the music in the
Oh, not
opening or
yet.
something? Or? Okay.
Well, yeah, I did open up with some music. Yes, I did.
But not that song.
I meant
Not
the
that
music that Ugochi and I collaborated on. That we
No.
came on.
Well,
Okay.
let me pull that. I'll definitely pull that up. It's where
Right.
it's in the thing on the thing, right?
The thing on the thing.
You
It's
put
the
it-
thing on the thing.
you sent it to me, right?
Yeah, I sent it to you. I could
Via
resend it,
email?
resend it. Yeah.
Let me pull it up. Let me put it. All right, well, who's key? Brother James. I think I made him an admin. He's bad for being late. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Prester asks, do vegans allow meat-derived ingredients, fetus, bovine, etc., to be injected into them via mandated procedures?
What procedure is that? What I mean, not like what do people
Probably
use that
not
for?
if they know about it.
This guy is anti-COVID vaccine, so
Yeah.
he's mad at me for taking the COVID vaccine and advocating that other Black people take it. So.
Mhm.
Well,
This
I
is
don't
another
really.
personal dig.
Can I ask you, why would people use these fetus and bovine and other things? Like, well, for what reason? I think
Well,
that they use them for things, but what would they use them for?
Well, it depends on the type of vaccine and what the vaccine is to address. Sometimes they will they have to, when they use attenuated virus vaccines, a lot of times they will cultivate the attenuated virus or bacteria in chicken embryos. So they will inject. So they use that, and a lot of times with that's a myth whether they use fetus and inject people with human fetuses. But yeah, they do. But actually, I have there are exemptions for vegans. Like if you go to your physician, you say, "Hey, I'm a vegan and I don't want to use this vaccine because it has animal or animal byproducts in it," then the physician will respect that. And
I would use any vaccine or anything that had animal anything in it if I was aware of it. I mean,
yeah. And a lot of times there's no, but yeah, so it really depends on the vegans. Vegans advocate for the end of all animal testing and the use of all animal and animal byproducts in the development of medication, cosmetics, and so on and so forth. But so it's really a person by person basis. But I do think they're getting pretty much aware of that now, of letting people know. But the last time I went to took my son for his checkup before he started school, they had stated that they would allow the children to exempt if they're vegan. There is actually a vegan exemption if people want to take that. So James, carnivores have shorter intestines which digest meat faster, not allowing the meat to rot. Ours is long. Meat stays in our intestine longer, causes a problem. Yeah, true. And our concentration of our gastric acids. But I don't know. That was a statement. Oh, Antonio People state, true. I was self-teaching to play my brother's piano at 4, and I was getting good, but I was discouraged as I aged, and now I'm a nurse. So, yeah. I mean, I went through, I don't think there's an adult that doesn't have a story where an adult was like, get a real job, or you need to, So we just have to be mindful as we become adults not to perpetuate that.
That's right.
I'm just moving down. There's a lot of back and forth. Musicians that advance the interest of African people, are they asking for us to give them some?
I think they're making a statement because it's an exclamation point on there, like musicians that advance the interest of African people.
It's probably responding to something somebody else said.
Oh yeah. Let's see. They just be giving me a lot to siphon through.
To preface.
Okay, so he got the website. Thanks.
Thank you, B. Creamer.
All right. Diallo, humans never evolve nor adapt to its environment. That is a myth. Is a myth. Lighter skin is a mutation. How come they never adapt to the sun, whether they live in cold or hot climates? Well, first of all, you're never going to see adaptations, evolutionary adaptations take manifest within a person's lifetime. That's not how evolution works. Number 2, all that adaptations are literally mutations. Evolution is literally mutations that are passed on. So, truther, both of your assertions are false. The people who live closer to the equator do tend to become darker over generations, and people who live further from the equator become lighter over generations. And it is through mutations and breeding and what they call natural selection that happens, because people who live closer to the equator tend to have survive to reproduce and pass their genes on if they have darker skin. So I'm not sure why you disagree with that. I don't know if you expect white folks to come to the Americas and within 3 or 4 generations to become Native Americans. That's just not how evolution works over time. So I don't know if you guys want to speak to that.
No, I'm good.
And adaptation. So I want to share some music. Can we take a moment to share? I'm going to play Listen Up, and we'll just take a short break and listen to.
It's no mystery.
Can you guys hear that?
Why you change history?
All right. Just so
I can't clearly see your tainted love for me. I don't need no monuments on this earth, just recognition of my worth. Love me or leave me, I deserve to be heard. Listen up. When you look in my direction, I can feel the sensation, your affection. What's the deal? I need an order of protection. For the envy you act out with no correction. Come on world, can't you see that we be tired? Police slaughter, sons and daughters never fired. Yet you can't understand why we are wired. Now I'm inspired to tell you I don't need no monuments on this earth, just recognition of my worth. Love me or leave me, I deserve to be heard. I can see it in your eyes. You are good with the deception and the lies. Turn a deaf ear to my concerns and my cries. I'm no fool, no, I am wise. You didn't think that we survive. We come without a coach into first class. You can't squash me like a roach, I run fast. You want me to dim my shine so you can jack mine. That's obscene. I'm a queen, the likes of which you've never seen. I don't need no monuments on this earth, just recognition of my worth. Love me or leave me, I deserve to be heard.
All right. Just coming back. Okay. That was listener. I apologize. I know my sound isn't as crisp. I hear it good, but that was and I'm gonna share the where they can get that. Oh wait. That's they can get that at the Bandcamp. Is this correct? You tell me if this is correct, David. Is that the correct site where they can get the compilation album?
Yeah.
All right. So they can go there, and that has all of the tracks. Oh, let me share the thing. Look at you. Look at you. Oh, look at this. Somebody come look at it.
And look,
Who dressed you that day?
David, stunning as ever in his blue suit.
Oh, look at that. Somebody come look at this. Who do you think you is? But anyway, that's Dr.
Dr.
How do you say it?
Belsidus. Belsidus.
Dr. Belsidus. The quarantine collabs. Man, that's cool. I see the COVID back there. So, some good things are coming out of this, from labor uprising to quarantine collabs. And he's sharp, probably ain't had a reason to dress up. So this is the 8 tracks here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But listen up, that was the track you played, the one feature to go to.
Right. Oh, cool. Belsidus. Okay, so let's get back to these mean old people. But and we'll give more details, but this is the correct drbelsidus.bandcamp.com, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
All right. Let me bring that on. Pull that down and bring us all back together. Again. Back together again. Oh, okay. Diallo, if you accept the science of the first mandated injectable procedures, why then do you reject the science of the booster? Because the booster is not based on science. The booster is based on politics. That's a political decision. The science suggests that the immunity built up from just the first shot. So I reject it because there is science to contradict the fact that the booster is absolutely necessary. But the United States is doing the booster because it doesn't want to implement the other mitigation, such as shutting down the society, returning to social distancing. So the United States, for the purposes of reinvigorating the economy and sustaining profits, is implementing policies not based on science, but based on economics and economic interest. So the United States is employing a single solution approach, which is multiple injections. And that's because the United States has an abundance of vaccine. But if you look at places like Australia, Vietnam, and other more socialistic solutions, they are employing a multifaceted solution of the injections, ongoing quarantine, sustaining social distancing, giving financial and material support to people during the quarantine. But the United States doesn't want to do that because it's hurting the economy. So a lot of times we confuse the science and in fact, the next Bro Diallo broadcast will be science versus capitalism, because a lot of things we blame on science are actually the product of capitalism. And it makes a lot of people become anti-intellectual or anti-science because science is created by scientists, but it's deployed or directed by capitalist interests. So anyway, it'll go more in that. Look, tune into the Bro Diallo show. Please leave me alone about this, Prester John. I got the shot. I don't have giant Trinidadian testicles yet. And if I get them, I'll acknowledge that I got them.
Is that the side of that?
Huh?
Is that the side of that?
Nicki Minaj said.
Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend got big Trinidadian testicles. So I'm waiting on mine. In my culture, that's a good thing. Glad to see you're still at it, Ugochi. Thank you. Good and needed convo. Appreciate the info, Bro Diallo. All right, I finally got a shout out. Now somebody said something nice to David, so we can all log off with our spirits intact.
Thank you, B. Creamer. And it's nice to be here with you, brothers.
All right. Knowledge. Okay. What's that? Accolades. What else kind? Nice. Digging that cowbell. It's people
Cowbell,
responding
yeah.
to the song. Is that what that was?
Thank
That
you.
was, yeah.
Okay. Somebody trying to show their musical knowledge. Bro Diallo, when's the next Alpha King? I don't know. You have to ask that brother. He's on the next dimension. When he returns from the ethereal dimension to bless y'all with the message, then you know. But until he returns, I think King Noble's in the comments, so y'all can check him out for that type of ethereal knowledge until King Alpha Dr. Kenyatta returns. Alpha King Dr. Kenyatta. My previous question was what are some present day musicians that best advance the interests of African people?
Okay, got you.
Please include yourself. Don't play humble on here.
Right.
Don't play humble.
Yeah, I would say
I was
David
about to say
Boykin.
Ugochi, right.
All right, now we can proceed.
Let's see, modern day, present day musicians.
You play Seon Kuti a lot.
Yeah.
And Sarak is a rapper, somebody that I think about that's still doing it, you know. Who else?
Going blank. You know, Speech is still making music.
Yeah, but he's Christian. I've been trying to devangelize him. I didn't have a few debates with him. He sees Jesus as the light and Jesus as our salvation. So, I mean, but he's still making music, and the music is good. But you know, be careful.
He said, "Be careful."
Yeah, you know, I actually asked him about that. You know, I quoted. He had that song "Fishing for Religion," where he said the government is happy with most Baptist churches because they don't do a damn thing to try to nurture us. And I reminded him of that. Like, how did you write "Fishing for Religion," and now you're like, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior? How does that jive? And he said that
Caught the fish.
He wasn't actually talking against Jesus. He was talking about people who do Jesus wrong. And I'm like, how? Essentially, I'm misrepresenting his argument. You can find it online where we went back and forth. But yeah, you know, guys, he converted to Christianity.
There's another artist, Flavor, out of Nigeria. He does a lot of really powerful music too. African interest. So he's one of the popular Afrobeat stars, but he, unlike some of the other ones, he uses a live band when he travels. Right. So most of them just like, you know, tracks, not even tracks with like no vocal. And so he's the one who he will have a whole band, and he just brings the energy of Nigeria. So I like him. He keeps me informed of what's happening on the ground.
Right. Dave, you have any?
It's funny, you know, how you get this brain freeze, you know, in these
I know,
moments.
it's so crazy.
But yeah, I was just thinking about some African artists that I like to listen to that I've always liked this, like Omu Sangari.
Yeah.
And then I can't think of her last name, but the sister who used to sing back with Fatu, yeah.
Fatimata Diawara.
Yeah, her stuff.
She's great.
Yeah, those two artists that I listen to.
Angela
and I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan myself. But and then
I like to see her dance. She's always so
Yeah.
so beautiful.
There's I can't think of her name. Do you know the name of the core player out of the Gabon? Is she out of Gabon?
Her name is not on my tongue.
Yeah, well, if you just Google, the person who asked the question, if you just Google African core player, you know, female, she's the only one that's gonna come up.
Right.
So
that girl.
Yeah. Her stuff is dope, and just her whole perspective, you know, political and like social, and the work that she's doing. Yeah, it's dope. Yeah.
But, well, in terms, because you know, I'm a hip hop head. You know, that's my main, my favorite genre, and I would say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sona Jarga.
Oh, I would say Skip Coon is really good and revolutionary. I know he was working on an album when COVID hit, so I think it got delayed. But Skip Coon, who's another Christian, by the way. So I'm anti-Christian, but I love Christian. I just hate Christianity.
Look, you're gonna make a Christian album next year. You'll be back.
Y'all don't want, then that'll bring, yeah, I should. If it's rapture time, so people gonna be floating up, butt naked people flying through the sky. Because if you see me make a Christian album,
Right.
It's rapture.
I'd be like, somebody kidnapped Diallo.
Yeah, but it's like now I just started thinking about like local, Chicago-based like hip hop artists, and it's like I don't follow it, as much. But I'm just thinking about a couple of people that I have like, listened to, work with recently. There's a group called the Chess Masters. There's somebody that I heard and I liked a lot, and it seemed like they did something. They disappeared for a minute, and I think they back. It was this cat David Ellis.
I heard it now.
He was doing some real like conscious like stuff that was nice. And I think he like moved away, but I think he's back or something. But yeah, his stuff was dope.
What happened to Ad 2?
I don't know.
Ad 2 was making some really conscious Chicago hip hop music. Then he signed to Good Music. He signed to Kanye's label, and I haven't heard from him since.
That's what happened. You said it.
Well, so many people get caught up in good music, and you never hear from them again. What's up with that?
Yeah.
Well, I think because I don't know. I don't know enough. I don't know anything about good music's policies, protocols. But I just think what most labels do is they get artists and they just shelf them. And that's really unfortunate. They get great artists, they get them signed, and it's like they don't do anything with them. They did that with Maxwell as well. It's just like, why? I don't know why they do that. I don't know what they get out of it, but that's what they do. And so people get so excited about being with these labels, and then they don't do anything with them.
What happened to Blitz the Ambassador? Is he still around?
Yeah,
I think he's still around.
I like him too. Yeah, he is still around. He's still making music.
Yeah, good. Oh, Sizzla Kalonji. That's probably
it's not even good there. Okay.
Yeah, Sizzla. Somebody mentioned Buju Banton, but Sizzla, man. That's
Buju,
Sizzla, Capleton.
yes.
All them the reggae music.
All of them Tronics, all of them. I mean, all of them. There's just a whole group of young roots, lions and lionesses coming up.
Yeah. So. Kadir asks, what fields of study highlight both the arts and the sciences in revolutionary ways?
What fields of study? Oh,
you mean like in a formal academic institution?
I think that's what
that don't really exist. There's no field of study in any of these universities or whatever where they highlight or where they deal with arts and sciences in revolutionary ways. But I don't know. I mean, Diallo, you said something. I thought I heard you say something recently about the sciences in general being more revolutionary than anything else in the academy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
In terms of your thinking being like appreciated and praised if it's revolutionary, as opposed to being suppressed in other fields. Yeah. But that's not the case in the arts so much. I don't know.
Well, I think if we separated these questions from institutions and just focus on the fields of study as opposed to the various institutions that house those fields of studies or give formal instruction in those fields of studies. I remember we all know the Malcolm X quote, that history is best qualified to reward our research. Mm-hmm. If you're going to study anything, you get the most bang for your buck out of research, out of history. And I've come to find whether it's a scientist or in a natural scientist or the soft scientist in the field from biology to political science and public policy, which was my formal education, to psychology, to music and music theory, people who have a grasp of the history and the historical timeline of their area of study tend to have a better grasp of it, so people who tend to say, well, I'm just looking forward, I ain't worried about what came before me. People tend to be limited in their scope or their understanding. So I think history is a, no matter what you do, you should understand where it came from and how it evolved. Even in mathematics, understanding the history. If you think in mathematics and you think math is strictly a European thing, or you don't understand, the Arab and African contribution to mathematics, or if you're in medicine and you think, Hippocrates and the Hippocratic Oath is where it began, and you don't go beyond that back to Egypt and understanding even the Dr. Sims and his atrocities against Black women in the arena of gynecology. So wherever you do, if you should know the history of what you're doing and understand the roots and the evolution of what you're involved in. So I think if you're going to be a revolutionary anything, you have to know the history and where it came and how it came to be.
So
the time you got.
And that history itself is revolutionary because
Right.
it's what's not being said.
All right. So if you don't know the history of something, you can't grasp or understand it. If you're looking at it in strictly a contemporary sense, and you can't really plot out a path forward without knowing Sankofa, without knowing where it came from, So he kind of expanded on that. He asked, or what were your favorite revolutionary polymaths?
When you say polymath, it's like two people just pop into my head. Sheikh Anta Diop and Amenhotep.
Amos Wilson.
Yeah.
I say, I'm a big fan of Thomas Sankara. I think that he was so revolutionary in his way of dealing with, as an African leader at the time, and even now he was ahead of his time, because he was even somebody who was pro-woman when it wasn't really a thing in Africa, and he was very pro Burkina Faso. He even changed the name to Burkina Faso. Okay, he took the European name off, and so I think he's somebody who was underrated in history.
Well, if I had to, the first person that came to mind was Del Jones. He actually had a couple of albums. So he did music, history, political organizing, guerrilla revolutionary, armed resistance. He was in Grenada when the U.S. invaded and helped, ferry some people out and set up some level of resistance. So I think Del Jones is definitely a multifaceted, multi-talented individual in arts, politics, history, literature. I definitely have to go to him first in terms of more contemporary polymaths. So there are, wow. I skipped a lot because there's a lot of discussion going on, but I think we're all caught up on the specific questions. So if you have any questions, comments, or inputs, please feel free. We still have a little time left. We have about 15 minutes left, but this is a good time to talk about, again, we have the contact information, give the contact for the, also give any additional insights on the quarantine collabs, anything you guys want to share in terms of that, inspiration, and so on and so forth.
I enjoyed the outlet. It was a COVID mixtape, so I wasn't doing much recording during that time. So David gave me an excuse and a reason to go into the studio. I was writing a lot of poetry and just journal entries, but I wasn't necessarily writing songs. So that was the first song that I wrote during that whole COVID time. And then I got commissioned to write a few other songs, but I did enjoy listening to the tracks that he sent me and kind of coming up with what I was going to put on it. It was a whole process and it was fun.
Well, are there any plans for live performances or for everyone to come together in the post-COVID era time?
Nah, currently they're not, but I mean, but we're open to it. Everybody's open to it. But at the time when the project was created and coming together, we just had no idea, when people might be coming back together again live.
Right.
And since then, it's like Ugochi's in Chicago, and there are a couple other artists who are on it. Suelo, she's like I think in Atlanta. And then Liz Maputo, she's in Florida. So not everybody's like in the same place anyway. So initially I wasn't even thinking so much. I was only thinking about, the immediate digital way of doing things, but everybody's open to that idea, eventually down the line.
Okay. Oh, that's really I mean it's a really amazing idea. And was there anybody that you reached out to that wasn't responsive, just out of morbid curiosity?
I think so. I mean, definitely. Yeah, I feel like there was. I'm not gonna say they weren't responsive, but it just didn't. For whatever reasons, it just didn't happen. I sent stuff to some people, and they may have said, "Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Send me some stuff." And I sent them some stuff, and maybe they never responded.
Right.
Maybe they didn't feel moved by it. Maybe they were too busy doing other stuff. There were people that didn't have, and I plan, and I working on like, doing a follow-up, like a volume 2. And so I've been reaching out to some other different people as well. And it's the same thing. It's like some people respond verbally, positively, and expressed a lot of interest, and you email back and forth, but you don't actually end up with a product. So, I don't know. So I'm thinking about maybe just asking Ugochi and Suelo and Liz if they want to do it while I'm waiting on some other people to respond. But yeah.
Well, Chicago is the home to the most predominant musical genre in the United States and by extension the world, drill music. And I've even and drill music has taken over, of course, the New York hip hop scene, Atlanta hip hop scene, and there are even I've seen some African drill music, and we even now here have a conscious drill artist here in Chicago. What do you think about Chicago's support for local art and local music in terms of the venues and supporting, consuming, promoting the art here as local artists? What is Chicago's grade on its support and love for local art and local artists?
I'll let you take that one, David.
I mean, if I was just basing it on myself, I would say an F, right? That's what I would say. I feel like, yeah, right. But it ain't about me. It ain't all about me. So
right, just overall, right?
Maybe like a C or something. I mean, if we think about like hip hop, right, and we think about like, okay, how many like hip hop clubs are there in Chicago? Is there a hip hop record label in Chicago? Is there like a hip hop, I don't know, festival in Chicago?
When you think Chicago, you have to think Dusty.
You got to think Dusty.
Dusty.
Dusty meaning.
Dusty's, as far as that's the sound, that's the music, that's the radio. That's what there's motion for as far as airplay. You don't have a lot of of hip clubs. You don't have a lot of reggae clubs. You don't have a lot of alternative music clubs. You have dust, and soul music and jazz music and blues.
Right.
But there's not hip hop is not Chicago as far
as far as what
venues, like a lot of venues.
Yeah, as far as like economic, like when we say support, if we want to talk about like actual like economic investment from the city, from people with money, that's one thing. And then if we want, then we can talk about actual investment in terms of money and actual people like spending their time and going out to see shows on a local like community level, right? That too. I still feel like the grade got to be like a C,
Yeah, I think there was a time when Chicago used to always look outside of Chicago for artists, and it was like the local artists. They would just tell them to come on and do something, and they didn't have a budget for them, but they have a hotel and a whole budget for the person coming in from out of town. That I used to see that so often, and it would really annoy me because I felt like all the money they invested in that out of town artists, they could have just paid the local artists, and the local artists could have, brought more people, because at the end of the day, that artist that they brought into town is not from there. So you could build a local artist up as well as your own venue, because you're getting someone who can come.
That's crazy to me, and it's really tragic because Chicago artists are some of the biggest in the world.
That's all I'm saying.
And the local art scene is not. Do you anticipate that changing once the quarantine is over? I know myself and my wife, we're going to be going out more and make a commitment to go out more after being stuck in the house for almost 2 years. So do you anticipate that might turn around since people are pouring into the streets? I'm seeing that more and more people are starting to come out for more and more things just because they have a greater appreciation of being out. So you think that might turn around in the post-COVID era as terms of Chicago people supporting local Chicago art?
You want to take that, Dave?
I don't think so.
I hope so.
And then, because even like, Chicago people are just funny. I mean, Chicago, it's just a lot of like self-hate. You know what I'm saying? So it's even like just among in the small like niche communities of whatever genre music it is. It could be hip hop. It could be reggae. It could be, I don't know, probably even country music. Probably the same thing. Where it's like you'll even have people who not even from Chicago come to Chicago and be nobody. Come to Chicago as a nobody and get more attention just because they from Pittsburgh.
Well,
than the people who from Chicago who doing the same thing and doing it better. Stuff like that.
I just think Chicagoans are very spoiled to a degree because they have so many amazing artists there all the time, and so they just kind of overlook you. But when we go to other places, oh my goodness, the energy that we get is so life-giving. And then we come back here and people are like, do something to make me clap. It's just a whole different energy, but you get used to it. And I know they used to say, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I think if you can make it in Chicago, you can make it.
I say that all the time. That's the biggest myth in the world. It's a lot easier to make it in Chicago, and for anything than it is. It's a lot easier in New York than it is.
We go to New York and they love us. We're always doing stuff in New York. It's here. We can't get someone to, we can't get the promoter to give us the right, conditions and price. And
so it's like a hometown disadvantage.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because I think like they're so used to having so many great artists here that they can go to see anybody on the weekend, and so they take it or leave it. They decide to go to a show or they don't. They can, do that because they know that they have the access to get those people. But I think, and I'm hoping that COVID will bring people out because they just cannot take their living room anymore or their home anymore, and then I'll make them come out because they just want to be out, and they'll support more because that's just they don't want to be in their home. Hopefully that will be the trend.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely be out more. So look for me, y'all, because let me know what's going on. I'm definitely make an effort to get out more. We have a late question. What is that? Something just popped up. I can't even see. Oh, it's gone. I don't know what that was. It states here. I got on here late, so I don't know if you spoke on this. Do you have any insight behind why hip hop rap has lasted over multiple eras, decades, while blues, soul, funk had eras lasting only about 10 years?
Well, I don't know what he means that they last.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that.
And what, blues, funk, and don't exist no more? Is that?
Oh, they're here. They're still here.
I guess maybe as the predominant music.
Soul music is predominant. That's R&B.
Yeah.
I mean, Taylor Swift was like the top selling artist for years. I don't know, but maybe just in his circle.
Yeah,
I guess it's with the youth, right? So I guess hip hop is the youngest music. So I guess the music that the youth create. So when the youth created the blues, when the youth created that was the popular music. When the youth created hip hop, then and since hip hop, right? What music that was my question. Right. Like, what is going to be the next thing? Like, since hip hop that young people are going to create, and I'm still trying to figure that out.
But you know what though, hip hop is informed by all those other sounds.
Exactly.
It's informed by soul. It's informed by funk and blues. And James Brown was one of the most sampled, artists in hip hop music. So just because hip hop is here and it's lasting and it's so popular, but hip hop uses all those other genres in its music to make it rich. So I think it's lasting in those those other forms are lasting within that hip hop form too.
Right.
Yeah, and then we got to look at
they still live.
Right, and the reasons music lasts and stick around is because they make money. Right. I mean, capitalism needs these music to keep to stay around and make money. So they keep giving you the same old stuff over and over and over and over and over and over and over. They still selling you Miles Davis records. You know what I'm saying? Versus whoever this young trumpet player is down the street. Right. They still pushing that because they still making money off of that. And so they gonna keep pushing hip hop to milk it as much as every rapper once they die. They records like start selling like crazy, and they making a bunch of money off of them, right?
Hip hop is used to sell things.
Right.
As
exactly.
It's one of those mediums that they can make a nice little hip hop commercial about anything and sell you things. So it's like David said, it's all economics. It's all about the money aspect, and I think that hip hop is so easy to sell to children and to people to use it as a means of making money, that it's more popular because it's so monetized now. And hip hop is becoming so far away from what it started. And that's what I loved about the versus battle, was that it took me back to the 80s. It took me back to hip hop when all the 5 elements had to be present for it to be real hip hop. And a lot of kids don't even know the 5 elements of hip hop today.
Right.
Making hip hop music. So I just think that hip hop is very, very popular, largely because of all those other genres that you stated, because you could hear any of them in a solid hip hop record.
Yeah, and I also like you said, profitability, is a big part of it. But yeah, and I think a lot of shit get called hip hop that ain't hip hop because my sons, I have a 19-year-old and a 13-year-old, and they don't even listen to the same type of music. Just being 6 years apart, they listen to different type of music, and they say it's all hip hop. My son thinks he listens to hip hop. Don't sound like nothing like my old CDs and cassettes. And then my younger son's like, I listen to hip hop, and his older brother's like, man, that ain't hip hop. So I think hip hop is just a catch-all phrase, Lil B, right? So I don't know, and so
that's
I think
a deep observation, though, with just such a few years difference, how it's hip hop is changing for each generation almost.
Exactly, but they just using the same. And I'm sure it happened. Somebody's like, oh, this is soul music, and our uncles and parents would say this is soul music, and our grandparents be like, the girl that ain't soul. So
they know soul.
Right. And then the whole attempt to classify music is another way of commodifying it and turning it from a creation to a product.
Yep.
So.
Monetizing it.
Okay, Quiet Joe says, does mainstream music really count as hip hop these days? It's been so hella co-opted. It should probably be called something very different. Yeah.
Like hip hop.
Yeah, well, Kadir's follow-up kind of spoke to that.
Yo, well,
because he talked about the evolution of it into the different genres, and so you could look at that as like calling it something else. But.
Right. Well, I've been saying that for years. The only real hip hop is conscious hip hop. Everything else is pop music. You know, so pop music is what's that lowbrow mass appeal music. So a lot of what we're calling hip hop is actually pop music.
It's true, hip hop.
Yeah, so that's more of like what I think it is. It's just the disposable music. What's going to be hot for this summer? And everybody's got an anthem or a dance they do for the summer, and the next year you don't hear it. It's not something you're going to be listening to for generations, or playing at weddings and playing at picnics that everybody knows. I mean, there was music my grandmother and my great aunt and my nieces and nephews, they all, and me included, we all danced to, we all familiar with those songs. Pop music is often not that, you know, because I mean, teach me how to Dougie or whatever, you know.
Where is he now?
So, yeah. J. Cole's Let Nas Down sampled Fela Kuti Heavy. I'm not sure what that is.
He let Nas down. Okay.
I don't know.
Can you speak to the difference of popular culture and mass culture?
I can't.
I don't know if there is a difference. To me, the popular culture is the mass, what the masses are doing. I don't know the distinct difference.
I think people use popular culture more so they referring from a top down kind of thing. You know, it's like it's controlled not by the grassroots people, but I don't know what mass culture exactly his definition of it is.
Yeah, it seems like it's the mainstream. Right, and that's what the way I see it as a mainstream, which is popular culture. The mainstream culture is the popular culture to me.
Yeah, it seems like it's the same thing, because I was just reading up on again reviewing cultural hegemony, and basically cultural hegemony is when the masses of the people adopt the mentality, outlook, value systems of the elite. So you find poor and working class people who worship entrepreneurialism. And, you know, we're poor and working class people try to anticipate what the elites want and orient their children. You know, we want our children to be strong in the math and sciences, not to create a better world, but so they can work for Google someday.
Right.
And so that would be popular culture, whereas revolutionary culture is culture that counters that resists that, the hegemony versus everyone in the society orienting themselves to serve the elite. Whereas the masses of the people orient themselves to resist the exploitation and domination of the elite. So that would be the difference between pop culture or mass culture and or cultural hegemony versus revolutionary culture. You know, and the people who seek to level and balance society versus people who seek to exploit and sustain the status quo or the unjust imbalances. So I think he agrees. Oh, we're a little over time. So let's give our outros. I've got the link where you can listen to, sample, and download the album. It's very affordable.
Go, David. Go, David.
I'll put it up again. You can go to the website scrolling below and get the album. See. Belsidus, Dr. Belsidus. What does that mean?
Belsidus.
Belsidus.
Celsius, like Belsidus. What it means, Dr. Belsidus is a character from the Afrofuturist, now called sci-fi novel by George Schuylers. He wrote a series of he had a serial in the Pittsburgh Courier. This is like around 1930s, in the late 30s, and he was a staunch critic and an opponent of Garvey. And so he, in this series, he created this fictional character that was supposed to be absolute, like over the top satire of like Garvey, who was supposed to, and so this character was kind of like, you know, a scientific man or just Pan-Africanist revolutionary who used science and technology to take over the world. He's on a mission to take over the world, to like to go to Africa and take over an African country, and from there like take over the world. And that's what happens in this story. And but it kind of like backfired on him in the sense that George Schuylers, that is, in the sense that he was writing it to be like this over the top satire of like Garvey and people of that mindset. But the people actually loved it and took it as though it was like serious, you know. Yeah, it's called Black Empire. Anybody should check it out and check out that character.
So can you give us the contact information if people want access to your art? And I shared, and the links are also the intro, and the links are all in the description on how to secure the quarantine collabs and how to contact. So any additional
DavidBoykin.com, DrBelsidus.com.
All right. So that's all in the description of the video. Ugochi, any outro, any parting message, or any contact information you want to leave for us this evening?
Yeah, well, you can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. So you can my what do you call it? My band page is Ugochi, all caps, my first name. And on Instagram, it is at Ugo, the number 2, DACHI. That's my Instagram and that's my Twitter.
One more time.
Ugo, the number 2, DACHI. Ugo2.g. Okay. That's my Instagram and my Twitter. So if you just stay in touch, add me as your friend or follow me and just come to a show if you can. I'm winding down because it's getting to be a little chilly outside.
Yeah. See, I got my sweater on. And so I appreciate you guys. Good night. And thank you again. And we'll have to do this again. So I appreciate David for reaching out. Please go to African Buttafly.com. Please go to Dr. Belsidus at Bandcamp. Please support, share this video. Feel free to continue the discussion in the comments and to reach out to our guest online. And sorry if I didn't get to your questions. And we'll be back next Wednesday. So good night.
Good
night.
And we'll see you again, Bro Diallo show Monday. All right, guys.
All right. Thanks again.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
All right. And thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you for showing love to our guest. Again, I guess that's it. That's all the thing. We're a little over time, so I'm just going to wrap it up. Oh, let me show you. I got a new African World Order shirt. Amos Wilson, a quote from Amos Wilson on love. So you can all go to AfricanWorldOrder.com, secure your own version of the Amos Wilson Love Is shirt, designed by Dr. Africa. So, and that's it. I think that's everything. We're going to go out the way we came in with Ugochi's phenomenal Don't Mind Them video. And I'll see you guys Monday. Peace. Like, share, subscribe, all that.
Mind them, don't mind them, don't mind them. Don't mind them, I beg, they kind you so smay. I beg, don't mind them, I beg, they you will find. Mind them, don't mind them. Mind them, don't mind them, don't mind them. They come around with the misery they carry, yeah. Face at the frown, to bitterness they bury, yeah. Quit to shut down when you're upbeat or you're merry. say they be okay, but I doubt it. I doubt it too, but don't mind it.
Oh, I forgot. One more thing. Next Wednesday for the Q&A, we're going to have Friends of the Congo on. Still working out the details. Sorry about that. Friends of the Congo and Bro Diallo Q&A.
Don't mind them. I believe they do a fine. Mind them, don't mind them. Mind them, don't mind them. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. I beg, they kind you so stay. I beg, don't mind them. I believe they do a fine. Mind them, don't mind them. Mind them, don't mind them. Don't mind them. The evil they do. The evil they do. The evil they do a fine. The evil they do. The evil they do. The evil they do. The evil they do a fine.